Despite all my apprehension around Nightingale, I ultimately decided to purchase the game today and try it for myself so I could give my first impressions. This is not a full review video, this is just my first impressions. I played it for a few hours today, and I kind of wanted to share what I liked and disliked about the game. The footage in the background is going to be from the first hour or so of the game, basically just after the tutorial. I'm not going to be putting a bunch of footage in there because I don't want to spoil anything in case you do decide to play it. But I want to talk about what I like first, then I'll talk about what I don't like. So first up, I was a little bit concerned that because the game was online only, that they might launch the game with an in-game shop with MTX and maybe a season pass. I can say right now, there's no in-game shop or season pass yet. They may come in the future at some point, but there are currently no microtransactions in the game from what I've seen so far. Next up, I like the building system. So the building system in this allows you to place down blueprints, and then once you have the resources in your inventory, you can auto build them. So you can kind of just lay out your entire house how you want it, or if you're just whatever you're building, you can kind of lay it out first, see what it looks like, and then just gather the resources, or if you have the resources in a chest, put them in your inventory, and then just instantly build everything, which is pretty cool. I also like the minor realm modifier. So the initial realm that I started after getting through the tutorial, I chose the forest, which I think is what probably most people are going to choose. And I did come across a machine that allowed me to use one of the minor realm cards that I found. I used the one that was giving me low gravity. So basically it just shows the planets at night all the time. And what that allows me to do is I can just get around the map much, much faster. It actually makes movement feel normal, and honestly, other than the fact that you can just kind of glide in the air, even without the umbrella, it just makes getting around and jump, you can jump really high and just, I think you use less stamina as well. So I really like the fact that you can kind of tweak each realm slightly by just using those minor realm modifiers. I also like that opening a portal is not just like you open the portal and go through it. You actually have to fight enemies. So when you go through the portal to get to your first realm, basically after the tutorial, you're going to have to fight off a bunch of enemies. And there's going to be a couple, a wave or two of them or whatever. And then once you've cleared them and I guess the portal's charged up or whatever, you can proceed through it. I also like that some of the puzzles I've come across so far, the few that I did also have similar things where I activated the puzzle and it spawned in some enemies. I don't know if all the puzzles are like that, but I did find a couple that were like that. We're just activating the puzzle, spawned in some enemies, I had to kill them, and then once I killed them all, I could actually solve the puzzle. So those are the things that I like. I know that's not a lot of things, but I did at least find some things I liked. I didn't, honestly, going into this, I was kind of had low expectations and really wasn't expecting to like anything about it. So now let's talk about what I don't like about Nightingale right now. And I'm going to preface this by saying I understand it's an early access game, but honestly, I set a standard for early access games depending on who's making it. The developers of this game formerly worked at AAA studios, worked on lots of well-known games. You can go look up their website and look at their resumes. They worked on pretty well-known games. So going into this, I kind of put it at a higher level of expectation than I would with maybe a small indie studio in terms of what I was expecting. So the things that I don't like they're going to be judged based on that. But even so, like some of these things, I honestly have felt like I'm surprised that the developers of this quality actually released a game with some of these things. So first up is going to be the performance. So I'm playing on a 4090 i9 13900K. I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. And because the game's online, you have to you're basically gonna be relying on your internet. I'm playing with fiber, 300 up, 300 down. And when I played it earlier today, as I'm recording this, I played it earlier today. First time I played it for a couple of hours, the performance was absolutely horrible. Especially once I got through the tutorial, I guess that's when it puts you into a realm that could also be made public. And moving around, there was just lots of stuttering. Cutting down trees, there was stuttering. I changed the performance. It defaulted to ultra quality. I changed it to quality. I changed it to performance. It didn't matter. Everything was it was basically the same. There's lots of frame drops and stuff like that. I played it a couple hours later and still getting it. It didn't seem like it was as much, but it was definitely, there's performance issues. So I can't imagine I have a relatively new PC. If you're playing this on a mid to low tier PC, you're probably going to have lots and lots of performance issues. And also, depending on where you're located relative to the servers, you might have high ping, and that could just cause lots and lots of problems. So the game the way it does inventory is you're going to have a certain number of backpack slots, and you also have a max carrying weight. The number of backpack slots is fine, but the starting carrying weight is only 50 kilograms, or at least it was for me. I don't know if when you choose your class at the beginning, you can choose a different background. I don't know if that affects any of the stats or not, but I started off only be able to carry 50 kilograms. The problem with that is when I laid down the foundation for my house and kind of put the walls up how I wanted to build them, it took me forever because I was playing by myself to go gather the resources, because I would go get some rock or stone or whatever, and have to come bring a couple of it back and build it. Then go get some more and go back and forth. I really think the starting carrying weight should probably be double that. You do get a backpack not that long into the game, and you'll be able to double your carrying capacity, which is great. But I really think the carrying capacity should probably be double, or the weight of some of the items like the wood and the stone should be just way less. Inventory management in general, I'm not surprised that this is just not handled very well. I don't understand if you played any like recent game, especially if you played a PC survival game. We have a mouse and keyboard. We should be able to sort things in our inventory. We should be able to split things in our inventory. I don't like, if I have items in my inventory and I want to split them, maybe I'm just like not seeing it, but the only way I could figure out how to split things in my inventory was to literally drop half of them and then move half of them to a chest or move half of them to a crafting station, and then having picking the rest back up and putting them back in my inventory. I don't understand why you can't just click on things and just be able to select exactly how many you want by typing in a number or moving the slider. Again, it's mouse. It's on PC only right now, so I don't understand why that. I could understand if it was a controller thing maybe, but even other games that you can use a controller that are on console, you can manage your inventory much better. The worst thing possibly for the inventory management is that you cannot craft from storage. It's 2024. If you're going to release a game that has crafting in it, it's like a mandatory that you should be able to craft from storage, especially in this game, because there's a couple things I'm going to talk about in just a second. But you'll put stuff in a chest, you'll go around building, and the example being like I needed a bunch of stone and a bunch of wood to finish my house. I couldn't just put that all in a chest. I actually had to have it in my inventory to be able to auto build. I go to a workstation and want to build something. I'm missing the one thing I need. I got to go back over to the chest, grab it out, and take it back over there. I just don't understand why craft from storage is not a standard in every single survival crafting game at this point going forward. Next up is going to be there's multiple versions of each resource. So example might be fiber, something you're going to get a lot of. I found like 3 different kinds of fiber so far. There was like the regular fiber, there was an advanced fiber, there was another thing that was called from killing some of the enemies that looked like fiber. You'll get different versions of meat, even though they come from like the same animal, it looks like. You'll get different versions of hide. Now, the benefit is sometimes like those will each have, so they can have their own unique stats. So maybe you get like a tier 1 of something or like tier 2 of something, whatever. It has better stats than the other one. But what ends up happening is now you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5, or I don't know how many stacks. The longer you play, the more stacks you're going to have. But in the couple hours that I played, I was taking up all my storage space because I'd have like 3 different kinds of meat, 3 different kinds of bone, 3 different kinds of fiber. And it just, I don't understand the logic. I understand, I guess, why they did it, because they wanted to have the whole statue of everything, but I just really don't think that makes sense. I think if you wanted to have the stats change, it should have been something like, here's the base resources, and you do some kind of augmentation to increase the stamina or health or whatever it is, rather than having RNG drops of items determining what stats you're going to be able to have on things. For the crafting, some items craft instantly. So as an example, like crafting your gear seems to craft within a couple of seconds, which is great. Some things make sense to craft over a longer period of time, like smelting ore. It would make sense for that to take a while, but cooking food takes way too long. Some of the other things craft instantly. Some of the things take minutes to craft. And I just don't understand. Like, it's just like a straight time wasting mechanic. Outside of the ore, there's no reason that the food should take several minutes to cook a couple pieces of meat. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And it just feels like that's in there just to waste your time. The game has durability, and honestly, the durability seems completely pointless. You repair your gear using essence. It didn't take me very long to realize that there's a really easy way of getting essence. You can just go around using a sickle specifically, because you'll get more of it. You just go around cutting down every single plant you see. You'll get 2 or more plant fiber from it. And then you just do that for like a couple of minutes. You'll get hundreds of them. Each one of them turns into an essence. Now you have hundreds of essence in your inventory. This allowed me to go to one of the NPCs who's you can trade essence to buy stuff. I essentially just walked around the area that NPC was spawned in for about 4 or 5 minutes, I think, maybe less. Gathered every single piece of plant fiber I could get with a sickle, recycled or extracted it and turned it into essence, and I was able to buy every single thing from that NPC within like 5 minutes total, which is just makes absolutely zero sense. Why even have? I don't understand. If you're going to use essence for purchasing and stuff, okay, but I don't even understand the point of having durability when literally you can get so much essence you'll never end up using it all. Combat was something that, coming out of the stress test, I was super concerned about. And honestly, I can say that It is exactly the same, and it's the combat in this game is really, really bad. I've not seen combat this bad in quite a long time. In fact, I can't remember a game other than playing maybe games that were just like straight asset flips that were made by like they just put no effort into them. I cannot think of a game that I was expecting to be of this quality that had combat this bad. Basically, all you have to do is attack and then just walk around in a circle and like circle strafe the enemies, and they can't hit you. Their animations are really like stiff. Animations in general in the game are stiff. Like when you cut down a tree, it just has this weird animation where it just like sits there for a second and then just falls over and breaks into pieces. The animations in the game overall just aren't that great. The combat, like you're just basically enemy. I haven't had this happen just yet, but it did happen to me in the stress test, and I've seen other people have it happen to them. I watched some people do some boss fights and stuff like that. If you're fighting inside the dungeons or inside the buildings, the NPCs will literally just get stuck on stuff. They'll just stand there and let you kill them. So overall, the combat did not improve at all one bit from the stress test, which is a major disappointment. And then the last thing I did not like was the copying and pasting of things, specifically puzzles. So I'm in the first realm that I got into after leaving the tutorial. I came across a puzzle. I solved it. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I went and explored around a little bit more. I came across the exact same puzzle with the exact, like literally the exact same puzzle in the same realm, copied and pasted. It was the same thing. Activate it, couple enemies spawn, kill them, go activate a couple stones, bam, you're done. You get the thing out of it. So overall, right now, like I said, this is not a full review video, so I'm not going to try to convince you whether or not you should play it. For me personally, I'm going to keep playing it because I kind of want to see, does it get any better? I don't expect it to, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I want to clear some of the dungeons. I want to fight some of the world bosses. I want to go up to the higher tier difficulty and just see if anything changes. I kind of have a feeling that what you see in the first couple of hours is probably what you're going to see over however long you end up playing this game. From what I've seen, there's probably 50 to 100 hours of content if you want to do all the realms, keep jacking up the difficulty, fighting all the different, like, because you can do modifiers on each of the realms and stuff like that. So there's quite a bit that you can do. But unfortunately, what I think is going to happen is it's going to essentially be the same gameplay loop. The game feels super grindy. It doesn't feel polished. It runs pretty poorly. There were some things I liked about it, like the building system and the modifiers to the realms. Like I said, fighting the enemies for the portals and stuff like that and the puzzles was fine the first time. But then when you realize how easy it is to kill them, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The game honestly probably needs a lot. I don't expect this to be in early access for a short amount of time. If they actually stick with it, which at this point is questionable because the game does not seem to be doing that well. The review scores on Steam are really poor. They're like around 50% right now. Lots of negative reviews. It peaked at less than 50,000 today, which I was kind of expecting it to be, honestly, for as much hype as it has and how it was like one of the most wishlisted games. I thought for sure it would peak over 100,000. Didn't even come close to that. So with a slow start, we'll see what happens with it. Hopefully they stick with it. Hopefully fix it. Like I said, I'll make a follow-up video as a full review in a week or two, maybe, depending on if I think it's worth if it's worth doing it. If I don't think it's worth doing it, it's not. But that's kind of my first impressions of Nightingale. I'm gonna press through with it. It's only $27, so if you don't have money to throw away, you could certainly try it. I will say that in the first 2 hours, the tutorial is going to take you about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how quickly you blow through it. If you listen to all the dialogue or if you skip it, depending on like what you do in that. So you're probably going to spend half your 2-hour refund window in the tutorial, and then you're only going to be able to experience the game for a little bit. It is like you may be able to make a decision on it, but honestly, you probably won't get to see enough of the game to decide in the first 2 hours. So just wanted to give you my opinion. If you found the video helpful, make sure to hit the like button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.